That would be crazy if it was a future game. You guys kind of got that bug in my mind because that would be awesome to see. Because that's a sequel. That's a sequel like Johto. That's a sequel like Black 2 and White 2. I love that so much to see the characters that we know and love, and have their actual and see them like where they end up in the near future is so cool.
But again, the big issue with that is like that will make it tie so heavily to X and Y more than Legends Arceus did to the Diamond and Pearl story, which like then kind of makes it a thing of but these games are
like you'll need X and Y.
I don't think so. No,
those games will be 12 years old.
No, I don't think so.
If it's as direct of a sequel as Black 2 and White 2 is to Black and White, you absolutely will.
If you have stuff like the remnants of Team Flare are still looking for Lysander around the city and stuff like that.
But here's the thing. What you guys are describing is Johto. Johto stands alone as a game you can play regardless. Except what happens is through while you play the game, you learn about what happened before it. You know.
Yeah, but Johto has Kanto attached in it always.
That's a good
point.
Johto
also only happened 3 years after the original.
Yeah,
so,
there's not as much
I think if they give us
12 years.
Yeah, and the story takes a backseat too. That's a good point. It also you're saying. Before you said, like Black 2 and White 2 and Johto. Black 2 and White 2 and Johto are two totally different animals. Like, Black 2 and White 2 was you need to play Black and White to really understand this.
I don't think you really need to play
Johto wasn't. I mean,
I don't think you need to.
Because, like, it's, at the end of the day, it's a game, that can be played by children. But, like...
I think this is going to be the same thing. I don't think this is a direct... even if it's a sequel... even if it's a sequel, I still think you can. These games will stand alone by themselves, right?
And again, Black 2 and White 2 came out 2 years after Black and White. This will be coming out 12 years.
And I think that's why what they would do is they basically just make a brand new story, but it takes place in the aftermath of. It's like you can watch. I don't know. You can watch.
It's one of those things like they don't have to explicitly say that it's like all these events are connected.
But you just see it throughout the region. Like, you can watch any Marvel movie at any point, and it doesn't matter. You're
not anymore.
Yeah, well...
That's actually been the big part of superhero fatigue.
That is true.
You're literally, like, you're the example you just gave is exactly what I'm worried about here. Like, you have... Marvel is now realizing they've spoken publicly about, hey, we need to change direction. Our projects need to make it where you haven't had to see 3 Disney Plus shows and 6 movies to understand.
Well, so I think this is not going to be like that, and I brought that up because... I haven't really watched Marvel movies in like 10 years.
One of my other favorite video game franchises right now, Xenoblade Chronicles, like they sort of have a similar thing with each of their games where it's like the 3 games are loosely connected, but at the same time, like 90% of them are like their own self-contained stories. So it's like, if you play 1 and 2 before 3, you'll appreciate that extra 10% of story. But for the most part, you can just play 3 because they recognize, like, hey, these games come out, like, 7 years apart. Like, not a lot of people are playing, like, all of them in a row.
Yeah.
So, like, it could be something similar like that, where it's like there are tie-ins to X and Y, but they aren't, like, so explicit that you need to play X and Y before you play this game.
Yeah, I think it was, like, interesting. Like, it made sense maybe on the first go-around that, like, that Game Freak that the Pokemon Company put out Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl as a way to like prime the audience and give people context for what Legends Arceus was. But truthfully, I don't think you need to play BDSP or any sort of Gen 4 game to understand or to enjoy Legends Arceus. And I think this is going to be a similar thing. It's going to be removed far enough.
But the difference is like this conversation started because we were talking about the idea of Lysander continuing to be the villain here. With Legends Arceus, sure, you have some cool Easter eggs. If you played, Platinum, you see that, the shopkeeper is, that one Team Galactic guy's ancestor.
It's just
so
an
you
Easter
don't need
egg.
that. But in this, like in the scenario we talked about, Lysander, the villain of X and Y, is the villain, not his ancestor, not his descendant, not his brother.
It's him.
Not his third cousin twice removed. He is the ancestor. He is the villain of this game. So I think it makes it more direct.
Yeah, I think I see it more as an opportunity for them to maybe do a BDSP style X and Y game. Leave your comments below whether or not you would like that.
Bro.
But
it ain't happening.
No, I'm not. I know. I'm saying it's
so. Like, I think it's a cool idea, but I don't think Lysander would just straight up be the villain again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any sort of connection, if it were to be a sequel game, it would just be it's an Easter egg. That's all it is.
You also have to think about what Game Freak normally does, and they normally like to just start fresh. Like they really don't.
Yeah.
The fans always want them to connect everything. We want it. We want the connections,
Right.
and the most connections that they did was like, oh, that's their ancestor. You know, like it's not. They want them to be able to be separate.
Yeah.
Most times.
No, that's a
each
good
game.
point.